Dear friends, welcome. Today, we will discover one of Belgium's most magnificent and impressive architectural masterpieces, the Basilica of the Sacred Heart, towering high above Brussels as a symbol of faith, hope, and unwavering spirituality. Look at this majestic silhouette. It reminds us of the power of the human spirit and the pursuit of eternity. The construction of this basilica took almost an entire century, and every detail here is a reflection of great effort and inspiration. This temple, reigning over the city like a giant candle reaching toward the sky, holds within it the history of the nation. Every line of its architecture, every stone in its foundation, is a testament to the faith, hope, and love of the Belgian people. Let us immerse ourselves in this history together, feel the power and grandeur of this place, and allow the sounds of the organ and the silence of prayer to touch our hearts.
The Basilica of the Sacred Heart is located off the usual tourist routes, at the top of Koekelberg Hill, northwest of Brussels' historic center. There are several ways to get there. From the main train station, the fastest option is by metro, though it requires a transfer. Take Metro Line 1 towards Gare de l'Ouest or Metro Line 5 towards Erasmus and travel for about 5 to 7 minutes until you reach Beacon Station.
At Beacon Station, transfer to Metro Line 6 towards Roy Baudouin or Metro Line 2 towards Simonis and travel for 5 minutes until you reach Simonis Station.
When you exit Simonis Metro Station, you will see the imposing and majestic Basilica of the Sacred Heart on the horizon. From the Simonis stop, you can cross the street and take bus 13 or 87, or tram line 9. After a 4-minute ride, get off at the Riethuizen stop, which is located right near the Basilica. Alternatively, you can take a leisurely walk through Elisabeth Park, which takes about 15 minutes.
Simonis Square is situated between Boulevard Leopold II, which leads down to the city center of Brussels, and Elisabeth Park, at the northern end of which the Basilica of the Sacred Heart rises. A modern fountain in the shape of a cocoa pod pays tribute to the chocolate industry in Koekelberg. It is located just a few minutes from the Belgian Chocolate Museum Chocolate Village on Rue de Nek and the Godiva Chocolate Factory. Designed by architect Melissa Brewer and inaugurated in 2017, the fountain consists of 4 small water jets and a monumental cocoa pod, composed of 200 triangular elements made of polished stainless steel. Supported by 84 small water streams, it appears to float effortlessly above the water. What makes it special? The fountain can be remotely controlled by passers-by using a smartphone. This allows users to adjust the height and shape of the water jets as well as customize the colorful lighting.
Elisabeth Park is a wonderful place for a stroll, a dream of the master builder King Leopold II, under whose reign the park was designed. From the central avenue, a breathtaking view unfolds. To the north, the magnificent Basilica of the Sacred Heart rises majestically, while to the south, the city center of Brussels stretches out. The lawns and flower beds along the main avenue are lined with impressive plane trees, giving the park an elegant structure. After a walk through the park's shaded pathways, we now approach the imposing structure, the National Basilica of the Sacred Heart.
And now we stand before this colossal structure, 140 meters long, with a 90-meter-high dome visible from almost every point in Brussels. Nearly a century passed from the first designs at the end of the 19th century to the final completion of this monument. The building we admire today is a testament to artistic expression, shaped by the spirit of its time. Like the visionaries of the Renaissance, its creators sought to come closer to eternal beauty.
It was the dream of Belgium's first monarchs to develop the Koekelberg Plateau, which once was an uninhabited area overlooking Brussels, and transform it into a royal district. As early as the late reign of King Leopold I, Belgium's first king, initial sketches and plans for shaping this area began to emerge. Shortly before 1880, his son, King Leopold II, sought to urbanize this part of Brussels, inspired by the Quartier de la Sorbonne in Paris. The highlight of this ambitious project was to be a grand pantheon honoring Belgium's great personalities, possibly even a national resting place for the country's heroes. Leopold II envisioned a ceremonial avenue leading to this pantheon of great Belgians. Even today, the Avenue of National Glory, Allée de la Gloire Nationale, and the Avenue of the Pantheon, Allée du Panthéon, which lead directly to the Basilica, bear witness to this grand vision.
This overly secular project met with resistance from the Catholic bourgeoisie, which was in power at the time. Lacking the necessary support, the monarch abandoned his original plan. However, in the lead-up to the 75th anniversary of Belgium's independence, he considered building a national sanctuary in honor of the Sacred Heart, an edifice comparable to the Basilica of Sacré-Cœur in Montmartre. Fascinated by Paris, the king envisioned a church in Koekelberg, surrounded by a star of broad boulevards and featuring his own version of the Champs-Élysées, leading directly into the city center. As a symbolic gesture, King Leopold II laid the foundation stone for this grand structure in 1905. During the celebrations marking the 75th anniversary of Belgian independence. The first design, drafted in 1903 by architect Pierre Langerock, envisioned a majestic church in the 13th century Gothic style, inspired by French architecture. Construction of the foundations began in 1909, but following the king's death on December 17, 1909, the project was temporarily put on hold.
By the start of World War I, only the earthworks had been completed. In his Christmas message of 1914, Cardinal Mercier gave the church a new symbolic meaning. As soon as peace returns to our country, we will rebuild what has been destroyed and, as the crowning achievement of this rebirth, erect the National Basilica of the Sacred Heart at the highest point of the capital. On June 29, 1919, this promise was solemnly reaffirmed on the Koekelberg Plateau in the presence of King Albert I, government representatives, and a large crowd. However, due to the strained financial situation of the state treasury, the realization of Langerock's original design was no longer feasible.
The Flemish architect Albert van Huffel was commissioned to develop a new project. A scale model of the Basilica, 140, was presented at the 1925 exhibition of decorative arts in Paris, where Van Huffel won first prize for his design. Albert van Huffel proposed a revolutionary Art Deco style, a style that embodied progress, geometry, and modernism. Not only was this approach more cost-effective, but it also allowed for the use of modern materials such as reinforced concrete and terracotta. This marked a completely new approach to the construction, which was resumed under his direction. From that moment on, the basilica was gradually built under the leadership of its creator. After Van Huffel's death in 1935, his close collaborator, the engineer and architect Paul Rome, took over the project and continued the work.
The modernization and expansion of the existing foundations began in January 1926. In 1930, construction work on the apse commenced, and in May 1935, it was consecrated and opened for religious services. The apse in a church is a semicircular or polygonal niche, usually located in the eastern part of the building. It functions as an extended space attached to the main nave of the church. The apse is the altar area, the holiest part of the church, where the most important rituals and sacraments are performed. Its semicircular shape symbolizes heaven and eternity. It is always built facing east because, in Christian tradition, the east represents the sunrise, a symbol of new beginnings and resurrection. Apses are often richly decorated with mosaics, frescoes, and sculptures, emphasizing their sacred significance.
In 1940, construction on the basilica reached a decisive milestone. The foundation of the mighty dome was completed, and the Temple of Hope continued to rise toward the sky. But then, World War II broke out, bringing construction to a halt. The sound of hammers fell silent, scaffolding stood abandoned, and the massive unfinished structure loomed over the city, an unfulfilled vision, a solemn reminder in times of uncertainty. It was not until September 1944, as the war neared its end, that the construction site came back to life. Stone by stone, the basilica continued to grow, and by 1951, its heart was completed, the main nave. A vast, majestic space leading worshippers from the entrance to the altar, a sacred path framed by slender arcades, behind which the side aisles completed the architectural vision. Once the walls were finished, it was time for a spiritual blessing. In 1951, people from all over Belgium gathered as Cardinal van Rooij presided over the church's solemn consecration. A year later, in 1952, Pope Pius XII granted the basilica a special distinction. It was awarded the title Basilica Minor, an honor bestowed upon only a select few churches worldwide. But the work was not yet complete. The monumental structure continued to rise, and in 1953, the two towers were finished, standing like mighty sentinels over the city. Step by step, the house of worship was completed. In 1958, the southern side aisle was opened. And finally, in 1962, the northern side aisle was finished. Now, the Basilica of the Sacred Heart was complete, a masterpiece of Art Deco, a symbol of faith and resilience, preserving the history of an entire century within its walls.
The Grand Dome was completed in 1969, marking the culmination of the basilica's decades-long construction journey. A year later, in 1970, a solemn ceremony was held, the celebration of the 25th Episcopal Jubilee of Cardinal Leon Joseph Sunnens, Archbishop of Mechelen-Brussels. This event officially marked the completion of the basilica, one of Belgium's most impressive architectural landmarks. The Koekelberg Basilica is not only a religious center but also an architectural masterpiece. It is one of the largest Art Deco buildings in the world and, at the time of its construction, was the fifth largest church on earth, following the Basilica of Notre-Dame de la Paix in Yamoussoukro, Ivory Coast. St. Peter's Basilica in Rome, St. Paul's Cathedral in London, and the Cathedral of Santa Maria del Fiore in Florence. Even today, it remains one of the largest basilicas in the world, with a capacity for 3,500 visitors. Yet, it is far more than just a sacred building. The basilica hosts Catholic services in both of Belgium's official languages, Dutch and French, and also serves as a venue for conferences, exhibitions, and public events. Despite its monumental size, it remains closely connected to the local community. The basilica is not only a national landmark but also a parish church for 4 Brussels districts. Welcoming pilgrims from around the world, it stands as an international symbol of prayer for peace.
The Basilica of the Sacred Heart is a magnificent Art Deco monument. Its architect, the Flemish master Albert van Huffel, seized every opportunity to make this imposing structure as functional as possible. A firm advocate of modern architecture, his goal was to fully subordinate the exterior design to the internal organization of the building. The only elements inherited from Christian tradition that influenced the structure's form are its Latin cross-shaped floor plan and the monumental dome, inspired by Byzantine architecture. Yet within these traditional elements, Van Huffel sought a deeper meaning in ornamentation, giving the structure an entirely new expressive power. The National Basilica of the Sacred Heart is his life's work, the most honest and significant Art Deco building in Western Europe. Here, the Art Deco style is displayed in its purest form, straight, geometric shapes and simple, compact volumes constructed from brick, masonry, and natural stone. A complete reinforced concrete structure gives the building its exceptional stability. One particularly striking feature of the basilica is its use of glazed terracotta, which creates an extraordinarily warm atmosphere inside. But what is glazed terracotta? Imagine a brick, made of clay, fired in a kiln, often with a reddish hue. When this brick is coated with a thin layer of colored, glass-like glaze and fired again, it becomes glazed terracotta. This material offers architects immense creative freedom. Not only does it allow for a wide range of colors and shades, but it can also mimic other materials such as marble, wood, or even metal. This results in unique and expressive architectural elements that give the basilica its distinctive appearance.
The exterior of the basilica is a fascinating interplay of various materials. Reinforced concrete meets layers of terracotta, while the facades are composed of Dutch Belvedere brick and white Burgundian stone. The green roofs and the monumental dome are clad in Congolese copper, which has developed a distinctive patina over time, giving the structure its unique color. The main entrance is flanked by two slender towers that rise 65 meters high, crowned with smaller domes. The monumental entrance area, the narthex, or vestibule of the basilica, features a spacious balcony designed specifically for open-air ceremonies. Above the portal, a sculpted relief of Christ the Merciful is embedded in the stone balustrade, a symbol of compassion and spiritual invitation. Another striking feature is the set of 4 colossal sculptures of the evangelists, added to the columns of the portal. These were created by the Belgian-Danish sculptor Harry Elström. In an expressive style, they depict, from left to right, St. Luke with his ox, St. John with his eagle, St. Mark surrounded by his lion, St. Matthew accompanied by a human figure. Each of these monumental statues is composed of 5 massive stone blocks, each weighing 3 tons. Their bold, almost roughly hewn features radiate immense power and expression, a testament to the monumental art seamlessly woven into the architecture of the basilica.
As we cross the threshold of this sacred place, we are enveloped by a unique atmosphere, a blend of silence, grandeur, and inner peace. Before us stands a true masterpiece, crafted by human hands in honor of the divine. Within these walls, thousands have found comfort, inspiration, and hope. Every corner holds its own story, every stained glass window speaks of eternity. Today, we are not just visitors but pilgrims, seeking a moment of spirituality. Let us embrace this experience together, open the doors to this fascinating world, and allow our hearts to be filled with light and grace. This basilica is more than a monument, it is an architectural masterpiece, a symbol of gratitude, remembrance, and the unity of the Belgian people. Built to commemorate the 75th anniversary of Belgium's independence, it remains a place where past and present converge, where spirituality and art blend seamlessly. Before us stands a unique example of Art Deco architecture, integrating the boldest engineering achievements of its time. The immense dome, the intricate mosaics, the expressive sculptures, all of these elements create an unmistakable atmosphere that invites us to pause and marvel.
The interior of the basilica surprises with its cubist clarity and minimalist austerity, a striking contrast to the richly decorated interiors of many traditional Catholic churches. Here, modern restraint prevails, creating a space that feels expansive and flooded with light. Yet, it is precisely in this simplicity that true beauty lies. The magnificent stained glass windows, illustrating scenes from the Gospels, serve as the central adornment of the interior. These works captivate with their extraordinary expressiveness, even though many were created in an unconventional style by Anto Cart, a Belgian artist associated with Cubism. The first stained glass windows were installed in 1937. paralleling the slow progress of the basilica's construction, which relied heavily on donations from devout Christians, religious organizations, and various associations. The designs were first sketched on large-scale cardboard drafts by approximately 10 renowned stained glass artists active in Belgium during the mid-20th century. Above the main entrance, one of the basilica's most impressive masterpieces dominates the space. Anto carts the Adoration of the Lamb of God and the Last Judgment, a window that, with its dramatic intensity and artistic depth, captivates every observer.
The stained glass windows in the apse are dedicated to one of the most central themes of the Christian faith, the Eucharist, the Holy Communion and the adoration of God. Through the interplay of light and color, they create a deeply spiritual atmosphere, immersing visitors in the profound symbolism of this sacrament. The artist Anto Cart designed 8 stained glass windows in the main nave, depicting the life of Jesus Christ in a striking visual narrative. Each window is a masterful mosaic of light and color, bringing biblical stories to life in a modern, almost cubist style. In the galleries above the nave, vibrant scenes illustrate the 6 Beatitudes, recalling the Sermon on the Mount. Later, these artistic windows were also incorporated into the side chapels, extending the stunning interplay of colors and religious motifs throughout the entire interior of the basilica.
The new church architecture created by Albert van Huffel is functional, stripped of unnecessary elements, and follows a clear, modern design language. From the outset, it was designed to include an impressive ciborium in the main choir, a marble altar featuring a depiction of the Sacred Heart in the parish choir, and a portal adorned with decorative sculptures. The main altar serves as the focal point of the sacred space, the place where the most important liturgical ceremonies take place, particularly the Eucharist, the sacrament of Holy Communion. In both Catholic and Orthodox traditions, the altar carries a dual symbolic meaning. It represents the throne of God, the spiritual center of worship, while also serving as a reminder of Mount Golgotha, where Jesus Christ was crucified. For this reason, in Catholic and Orthodox churches, the main altar is traditionally located in the eastern apse, the direction of the rising sun, symbolizing the resurrection and the eternal light.
Two world-renowned artists, George Minne and Harry Elström, have shaped the spiritual and artistic presence of the basilica with their sculptures. The Belgian symbolist George Minne created one of the most significant artworks of the basilica, the marble sculpture of the Sacred Heart of Jesus, which sits on the altar of the sacrament choir in the apse. Statues of the Sacred Heart of Jesus are widely found in Catholic churches and basilicas around the world. Their symbolism is deeply connected to the devotion to the Sacred Heart, a tradition that expresses Christ's boundless love, compassion, and redemptive sacrifice. The heart of Jesus represents his suffering, his act of salvation, and his unconditional love for humanity. His right hand is raised in blessing, a gesture of divine grace. His left hand points to his heart, an invitation to spiritual devotion and a reminder of God's eternal love. The depiction of Jesus in the Basilica of the Sacred Heart in Brussels bears Minne's unmistakable artistic signature. His work is characterized by an expressive, symbolist style that emphasizes inner spirituality. The elongated proportions and fluid lines of the sculpture evoke a profound sense of devotion and reverence. This sculpture is more than just a work of art, it is a powerful symbol of love, sacrifice, and compassion. It calls the faithful to penance, dedication, and spiritual renewal, serving as a visible expression of one of Christianity's core messages, God's immeasurable love for humanity. In addition to this iconic portrayal of the Sacred Heart, George Minne also created another significant sculpture for the basilica, a bronze figure of Christ on the cross, located outside the apse. This work complements the church's spiritual narrative, serving as a solemn reminder of Christ's ultimate sacrifice, which brought salvation to humankind. Through his masterful artistry, Minne captured the profound essence of suffering, redemption, and divine grace, making his sculptures an integral part of the basilica's sacred and artistic identity.
The impressive sculptures created by Harry Elström for the basilica are designed in an expressive style. Their powerful depiction harmonizes with the architectural concept of the basilica, reinforcing its monumental presence. Elström's most significant work in the basilica is the monumental bronze Golgotha scene, which rises above the ciborium of the main altar. The ciborium is a covered structure that protects and highlights the main altar. Supported by 4 columns, it serves not only as a symbolic marker of the sacred space but also as a functional element, shielding the altar and consecrated gifts. In early Christian architecture, ciboria were common in basilicas and were often adorned with reliefs, mosaics, and intricate carvings, emphasizing the sacred character of the space. At the heart of this composition stands the monumental sculpture of Jesus Christ on the cross. A strikingly realistic and expressive portrayal of the suffering Christ, Elström's sculpture captures a moment of deep agony and sacrifice. His head is bowed, his eyes closed, as if in his final moments. His body bears the marks of wounds and scars, making the pain almost palpable. The entire sculpture radiates suffering and devotion. The precise anatomical detail of the figure enhances the sense of humanity and vulnerability. At the foot of the cross stand 2 mourning figures, Mary, the mother of Jesus, and John, the apostle. Their faces reflect profound sorrow and despair, while their postures convey pain and helplessness in the face of Christ's sacrifice. Elström's sculpture, The Crucifixion of Christ, is more than just an artwork. It is a meditative reflection on suffering and self-sacrifice. It invites the viewer to contemplate the significance of the cross and immerse themselves in its deep spiritual message. In addition to the Golgotha scene, Harry Elström also sculpted the 4 monumental statues of the evangelists, which are positioned above the narthex, the main portal of the basilica. These sculptures are powerful symbols of the Gospels and their message, executed in a bold, expressive style that perfectly complements the monumental architecture of the basilica. Through their imposing presence and dynamic forms, Elström's works enrich the spiritual and artistic aura of this sacred space, making them an integral part of the basilica's unique identity.
The table in the altar area of a Catholic church is known as the altar or priestale. It is the holiest center of the sacred space, as it is the place where the Eucharist is celebrated, the sacrament of communion, symbolizing the presence of Christ. In the Basilica of the Sacred Heart, the altar is a particularly awe-inspiring structure, a massive block of exquisite Algerian onyx, weighing an astonishing 5 tons. This extraordinary material is renowned for its warm, radiant coloration and its refined, polished surface, which blends harmoniously into the altar's surroundings. The natural veining and luminous sheen of the onyx make it appear almost alive, enhancing its spiritual depth and majesty. As a symbol of transcendence and divinity, the onyx altar stands as a powerful testament to the sacredness of the space, inviting worshippers to experience a moment of reflection, reverence, and connection with the divine.
The grand modern organ in the altar area of the basilica was built in 1958 by the renowned Lonck family of organ builders and has since been expanded multiple times. Today, the basilica houses several organs, used for concerts, religious services, and ceremonial events. Particularly impressive is the mighty sound spectrum of the main organ, whose rich, expressive tones resonate throughout the entire nave, enhancing the monumental architecture of the basilica. Its powerful and majestic sound creates an atmosphere that invites both contemplation and musical admiration, an instrument that serves not only liturgical purposes but also contributes to the artistic and cultural identity of the basilica.
The basilica also houses two museums, offering a fascinating insight into Flanders' religious and cultural heritage. One of the exhibitions was created based on objects from the Brussels Monastery of the Black Sisters. This remarkable collection includes precious paintings from the Flemish school, Flemish oak furniture, reflecting the craftsmanship of past centuries, liturgical vessels and artifacts made of silver, pewter, porcelain, and copper, Flemish religious sculptures, illustrating the region's deep-rooted Christian traditions, Brussels Flemish lace, a true masterpiece of textile art, showcasing the intricate precision and rich heritage of Flemish craftsmanship. This museum exhibition seamlessly blends art, history, and spirituality, transforming the basilica into more than just a place of worship. It is also a cultural treasure, preserving and bringing the past to life.
The Museum of Modern Religious Art in the Basilica of Koekelberg houses an extensive collection of paintings and sculptures, originating from the Museum of Modern Religious Art of the Diocese of Bruges. The museum's exhibition showcases religious and spiritual art inspired by modernity, aiming to resonate with contemporary audiences. In the summer of 2024, the National Basilica of the Sacred Heart hosted an exhibition by Bulgarian icon painter Dian Kostov, titled Crossroads: The Price of Choice. This conceptual exhibition featured over 70 icons, posters, and frescoes, seeking to artistically portray the search for harmony and trust in challenging times. It was designed to be an inspiring experience for visitors, offering a deeper reflection on faith and spirituality through contemporary iconography. Additionally, on the exterior facades of the basilica, there are depictions of significant moments from the life of Jesus Christ and the Blessed Virgin Mary, further enriching the spiritual and artistic essence of this remarkable place.
The statue of Damien de Veuster, the saint of the Roman Catholic Church, priest, and missionary, stands near the Basilica of the Sacred Heart. This monument honors the memory of the famous Catholic priest from Hawaii, who was born in Belgium and dedicated his life to caring for leprosy patients on the island of Molokai. Father Damien de Veuster is considered one of Hawaii's greatest heroes. In 2009, he was canonized by Pope Benedict XVI, officially recognized as a saint of the Church. In Roman Catholic tradition, he is venerated as the patron saint of leprosy patients, outcasts, and victims of infectious diseases. In 1864, Damien de Veuster was sent as a missionary to Hawaii by his religious order. At the time, a severe leprosy epidemic was devastating the islands. Thousands of infected individuals were forcibly isolated in remote colonies, abandoned without adequate medical care or human support. Father Damien selflessly devoted his life to both the spiritual and social care of these suffering people. He provided spiritual guidance, built churches and shelters, and worked tirelessly to improve their living conditions. In the end, Father Damien himself contracted leprosy and passed away in 1889, becoming one of those he had served. His unwavering dedication and sacrifice remain a shining example of Christian love and service. For his extraordinary humanitarian work, Father Damien was recognized in 2005 by the Belgian government as the Greatest Belgian, a tribute to his unparalleled legacy, which continues to be celebrated in both Belgium and Hawaii.
If you want to enjoy a breathtaking view of Brussels, you can take the elevator up to the outer gallery, reaching a height of nearly 53 meters. From the Basilica's dome platform, an impressive panorama unfolds, offering a spectacular view over the city of Brussels, as well as the Flemish and Walloon regions of the Brabant province. An unforgettable experience, this panoramic view captures the vastness and beauty of the region in a truly unique way.
The Belgian directors Guillaume Malandrin and Stefan Malandrin paid a special cinematic tribute to the Basilica in their psychoanalytic thriller, Where is the Hand of the Headless Man? In this gripping film, the Basilica of the Sacred Heart serves as a central backdrop, its monumental architecture and mystical atmosphere intensifying the dark, suspenseful tone of the story. The plot revolves around a nightmarish mystery experienced by the main character Eva, played by Cécile de France. The Basilica's imposing and enigmatic presence plays a crucial role in the film's psychological tension, making it not just a setting but an integral character within the narrative itself.
Dear friends, today, we have embarked on an extraordinary journey together through the Basilica of the Sacred Heart, a majestic symbol of faith, history, and architectural mastery. I hope that you have not only felt the grandeur of this place but also sensed its soul, that special spirit that fills the walls of this church. Perhaps each of you has experienced something unique here, something that will resonate in your hearts for a long time. From the observation platform, we viewed Brussels from above, witnessing how past and present intertwine in a fascinating way. May this image remain in your memory, a testament to the beauty created by human hands, yet inspired by something greater. Thank you for your attention and for sharing this small but meaningful part of the journey with me. I wish you new discoveries, unforgettable experiences, and a joyful onward journey. Until next time.